brand new. We're a brand new channel. I've played about with recording stuff. I've got a couple of GoPros, but they're GoPro 4s. Them were the days. But they still work. And they're still okay. And I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments below whether I need to upgrade anything. It's a bit of a voyage of discovery. I'm sort of at that age where I'm sort of nearly retiring and thinking to myself, right, okay, so I sort of need to do something aside from give up work and do more interesting things. I need to sort of do something whilst I'm giving up work. So I thought I'd start a channel. I sort of live in between. That was a really good bit of indicating, wasn't it? I sort of live in between Manchester and the Wirral. So I'm just north of a little place called Chester. And it's funny how around here people get a bit offended when you say, oh, you live on the Wirral, do you? And I'm like, no. We live sort of 2 minutes drive from the Wirral. We're not quite on the Wirral. And it is quite sort of interesting how people get a bit offended by being on the Wirral. Not that there's anything wrong with the Wirral. I love riding around the Wirral. It's one of the areas that I think is always missed out. It's almost like you go down to Wales and you completely miss the Wirral, but actually on the Wirral there are some great little roads, some brilliant places to ride. And for that sort of short, when you've got sort of like a couple of hours or you've got just an afternoon to have a ride out, it's superb. It's a really nice place. So I'm popping down into Wales and I'm going to go to a place that I haven't been before, which is a place called, I know I should have been before, the Chain and Sprocket Cafe in Ruthin. And again, I'm probably pronounced that wrong, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments below. As with most places, there's a necessary little bit of horrible road that we have to go on before we get there. If anyone's got any suggestions for a better route from Chester down to Ruthin, then let me know. If I can avoid this little bit, then that will be superb. But I will catch up with you a little bit later on the route when it gets a little bit more interesting. So let me tell you a little bit about myself then, now we're off that dual carriageway. So I've been riding for what, about 35 years, something like that, and had all sorts of different bikes. Currently ride this little Rebel, and there's a story behind that I'll not go into now, but maybe tell you a little bit later on about how I ended up riding a Rebel. I traded down from a Bandit 650, which is an awesome machine, very cheap as well for what you get. You know, I have to say, I was one of the stalwarts who quite liked the idea of a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in Wales, because I kept thinking to myself, this is actually quite good, especially if you're near a school or near a hospital. It makes sense to have a low speed limit. But then, of course, you get into Wales and you find out that on a road like this, yeah, you're having to do 20 miles an hour. And there's no sort of sense or rhyme or reason behind it. It's just, oh well, we'll leave that at 20 miles an hour. And a lot of it just doesn't make sense. I don't quite know why. But they do just seem to have decided, right, okay, well, all of this lot is going to be 20 miles an hour. Even though it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and there's no school anywhere near. It's like, oh well, let's just sort of stick a 20 mile an hour limit on it. Although on roads like this, I have to say, I'm always loath to even attempt to go around these fast. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's the fun of biking. You should be going around the twisties really fast. And I just think, well, no, not for me. I don't know the road. The road condition, as you can see, is absolutely awful. You've got big trailers and trucks like this in front, driving around these tiny little roads. Looks like that hay is destined for some sheep. And realistically, you just got to drive, I think, or ride to the conditions and to your own abilities. And at the moment, I'm not that confident in my abilities. I will be, but I'm not at the moment. So I was really pleased when Wales decided that they cocked up and that really they're going to get rid of all of this 20 mile an hour stuff. Just doesn't make sense at all. So I've been riding for 35 years. I had all manner of different bikes in that time. Mainly, I have to say, sort of cruisers and classic bikes, what would now be regarded as classic bikes. My favourite bike was a Honda 404. I absolutely loved that bike. Absolutely loved it. Are you going that way? Good man. Absolutely loved it. It was the nippiest, most well set up, most balanced bike I've ever ridden. And then I sold it. And now if I want to get hold of one, it's going to cost me a bloody fortune. Although, yesterday, I found one just up the road as well, literally about 2 miles away from me, and it was in bits like they all are these days, but it didn't need a lot doing it. The guy that had it, he'd suffered a stroke, so he couldn't carry on renovating it, but where he was up to, he'd done a really good job. You could tell that in the pictures. And I lost out by less than a minute. I messaged him, somebody messaged him and said, oh, I'll PM you. So I messaged him and I said, I'll have it, happy to pay your price, no need to argue, it's a very, very fair price. So I thought, if I can get it, that would be great. But it turned out this guy that had PM'd him earlier on, he works away in Mexico. I'm still holding out hope. He works away in Mexico, and he was gagging at sending this guy a deposit, and this guy said, no, I want you to see some videos of it first. And he's apparently picking it up next week when he comes back from Mexico. So I don't know. He might do. He might turn up. He might not turn up. You never know. But that's what I'm holding out for. Keeping my fingers crossed. Is this turning me around? I hate sat-navs with a bloody passion. It sends you the wrong way and then it spends 3 weeks sending you a different way, and then you have to go round and round and bloody round, and it sends you back to where you've just come from, which on most roads is alright, but when you're doing 20 miles an hour it's not. So anyway, keeping my fingers crossed that this guy from Mexico is an aberration and he's going to turn on autopilot and then I can swoop in. Not a million miles away, I can see the signs already for Ruthin. It's quite a nice little jaunt really. It's what, probably about 45 minutes from Chester. Depends how fast you go. You can't really go that fast, because as soon as you get fast you'll suddenly get one of those lovely wonderful 20 miles an hour. So last week I was doing something called relay riders. I don't know whether any of you do relay riders. It's a charity event, and the idea is that there are two teddy bears who make up almost the baton really, and they go on a relay around the UK. And it's about 10,000 miles, 10,100, I don't know, something like that. It's about 10,000 miles around the UK, and literally these two teddy bears get passed from one motorcycle to another motorcycle and then carry on their way. And it's a great event because it runs for 3 weeks. It covers England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. And it runs for 24 hours. So your particular leg that you're doing, mine were luckily in the daytime this year. Last year mine were at 3:30 in the morning. So because it runs 24 hours a day, then in effect your leg could be at any point in 24 hours. So it could be 1 o'clock in the morning, it could be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You never really know where your leg's going to be. And typically you'll have a support rider who'll come along with you. And they raise a fantastic amount of money. They raise sort of £10,000 plus every single year. So it's a great event to get involved in. And I can only encourage, if any of you are thinking of doing charity events, hop along to Relay Riders UK website, and you can sign up for next year. And you always end up doing a leg that's sort of close to where you live, so it does work out quite nice. It's a proper good do. So proper lovely lunch there at the Chain and Sprocket. Lovely little place. Can't quite understand why they've got a 1 for you know, they do those cleanliness ratings. It's only got a 1. Must be some reason. If you know, pop it down in the comments. Just doesn't seem, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right that he should have a 1. The food was lovely, and actually it was cheap. Well, I'll say cheap, it wasn't 20 pence cheap, but it was cheap. It was cheap for what I had. So I thought, while I was sat there contemplating my navel and looking at the weather and thinking, yeah, it still looks alright. It's my last day of holiday and I'm back in work tomorrow. So I thought I'd have a potter over to Colwyn Bay. Because there's a little cafe right in the middle of the bay on the seafront where you can get a coffee from. So I thought I would pop there, grab myself a coffee before heading off home. For those of you that have got qualifications in geography, yes, you're right, it's not on the way out, but it's sort of on the way out. It's as close to on the way home as you need to get on a motorbike. Especially on your last day of your holidays. We have this old system at work where you have to take all of your holidays before the end of July. And one of the problems is there isn't a massive amount of opportunity during the year to be able to get your holidays in. So you just end up, well, I end up always having to take your holidays in July. So I literally, in July now, I think I've had 3 weeks holiday. Which is a bit annoying because I like to sort of spread it out. I'm just not that organised to be able to spread it out. It's 60 down to 20. If only I was a bit more organised, I'd be able to take my holidays when I wanted them. We did get a week in Stockholm. Not particularly a good biking place, but if you want to go on holiday for a week, Stockholm is pretty good. I enjoyed it anyway. Don't go there if you want a cheap holiday, because cheap it certainly isn't, but it is pretty good because there's lots and lots of different stuff that you can do, and it's set up on a load of different islands that are all joined together, so it's pretty good. You can get around just by boat. But I'm hoping, got to get back to work tomorrow and find out. I'm hoping I can get Benner's booked. Off to Benidorm for a week in September. When all the kids have gone back to school and the prices have come down a little bit, then we'll pop to Benidorm. There's a little story about Benidorm. We first went to Benidorm about just before COVID. And we hadn't gone to Benidorm before, this was our first time. But my mum and dad, who have now passed away, my mum and dad used to go there twice a year. So we thought, well look, we've always thought it was really tacky, let's go to Benidorm. Just on a sort of a pilgrimage really for my mum and dad, like you do. So we went to Benidorm for a week, got it booked, absolutely loved it. Even took my daughter and her boyfriend now absolutely loves Benidorm. He's trying to convince all his mates to do their stag nights in Benidorm so he can go back again. And while we were there, we had a search for the hotel that my mum and dad used to always stay in. They always used to stay in this hotel called the Presidente, and they used to say it's really nice because it's really close to everything, so we don't have to bother walking too far. And I thought, oh, that's nice. Turns out Hotel Presidente is right in the middle of the strip. It's the sort of place that me and my missus wouldn't stay because it'd be too noisy. But there's my mum and dad in the late 70s going to Benidorm twice a year and staying at the Presidente. Class. Can't beat it. And I'm hoping if we save up enough we can go to Japan next year. That's one of my bucket list destinations. Really love to go to Japan. Really love the idea of going to Japan. Have you got any bucket list places that you want to go on holiday to? If you have, chuck them down in the comments. Are you going my way? So just dropping down now to Colwyn Bay on the A55. Being school holidays, there are lots and lots of cars, and many of them are, ooh, how can I say, driving interestingly. The other thing I've noticed is a lot of police bikes as well, unmarked police bikes. They generally have a big blue square on the back, which is their big big strobe light, their blue strobe light. Clearly wasn't bothered with me. Then again, I was riding at legal speeds. I used to come to Colwyn Bay as a kid. I'd always pretty much stay in the same guest house, and then when my kids came along, I used to bring them to Colwyn Bay as well. It's a lovely place. I think they've spent a lot of time and effort getting all the promenade done. I don't think there's that much space for parking up bikes, which is a shame. I don't know many places that do look after bikes these days. So I think what I'll do is once I pull down into Colwyn Bay and along the front, then I will sign off. I think you've probably heard enough of me. If you like this first video, then please click a thumbs up. That will be really appreciated. If you want to hear more of my waffle, click on subscribe. And apparently if you click that little bell, you'll get notifications whenever I post a new video, which will be absolutely and completely fabulous. And I know I've asked you to do lots and lots of things in the comments below, but if there is anything that you think I could be doing better, or if there's anything that you think you would like to see me cover, you let me know. Well, here you go, Colwyn Bay, safe and sound. So that's it for this time, and hopefully, you never know, you might want to join me again next time. Safe travels, speak to you soon, cheers, bye bye.